doggone.
Oh,
How many that
sorry.
year
That was
before
on-
you brought on your unlicensed assistant? Where was your business?
So I was at 6 million before any help. And then when I got my unlicensed assistant, I doubled. So I went to 12. And so at 6 million, I really was like, I need help. You know, it was like I would get done with a busy day, right? Tons of appointments, but then I would look at, and I had all of these other administrative things to do, right? So it's like I'd already done a really long day, and then I had, all of these other things that I started to look at, and I'm like, you know what? I think I could outsource this. I think if I hired somebody that I trusted, that they could help me with some of these things. And I heard this advice before, that you should not hire until you get to that point where you have more than you can handle. And so I really used that advice and did a lot of research. And the first thing I found was to get an unlicensed assistant first before you do a buyer's agent, before you do anything like that. So that's what I did. And I was able to hire a really great gal, and she really helped me. I sat down and I listed out what it was that I needed help with. And that's going to look different for everybody. So what I needed help with, I listed out with her and we brainstormed, and then we built it from there. But it's definitely a really personal decision. What I needed help with maybe would be different for what anybody else would need help with. And so you just want to, write that down first, so you have really clear expectations, because what you don't want to do is just think, oh, one person will just solve everything, right?
Right. No, absolutely. What were, as you think back, and when was this? Was this 2015, 2016?
Yeah. Yep. Right around there. Yeah.
What were the major buckets that she helped to carry for you?
A lot of it was administrative. So it was entering listings into the MLS. But it was also helping with errands. So it was dropping signs, dropping lock boxes, making, this was before the craziness of 2020. So, and all the multiple offers. So we were making marketing packets for houses, right? So she would design those, and which we're starting to do again now. So it all comes full circle, but she would design those, but then she would also take the extra steps for me. So she didn't just design it and send it to me, but she went ahead and sent it to the printer, went and picked it up from the printer, bound it together, and then dropped it off at the house. So I identified that some of the area that I needed help in was just honestly like manpower, an extra set of hands. And so that worked really well. And I estimated that it saved me about 15 to 20 hours a week of work at that point, which I was then able to turn around and invest back into my business.
Right. No, that's great. I want to kind of put a pin in that and move upstream from it. And my presentation's being weird, so we're just going to keep this conversational and we'll drive it that way, which I think is just
sure.
So why leverage? And that's a rhetorical question that I'm going to interact with here. I don't want anybody that's on this call working 100 hours a week in order to make as much money as possible, unless that's at your heart of hearts how you love spending your time and you want to, sacrifice everything else at that cost. As Stephanie mentioned earlier, values of KW, at least, God, family, then business, which whether those values are core to you or not is not so much the point as keep the main thing in your life. And as we have a conversation around leverage, it's we need to run successful businesses, hopefully growing businesses, hopefully, top businesses in the market, but not at the cost of the things that we love. So how do we identify how to get there? So I want everyone to do a quick exercise, and this is for folks that have been licensed for at least a year. Tally up your GCI from the last 12 months. And it can be a rough number. And you don't need to share that. I know if you're with KW, I know what that answer is. If you're not, that's okay. You then figure out, okay, say I worked 50 hours a week. Okay, let's say I made $100,000, and I'm just going to run this on the calculator. I made $100,000 last year, working 50 hours a week, but I took a couple weeks off. So I'm going to divide $100,000 by 50 weeks. That's $2,000 a week, and divide that by 50 for the number of weeks that I worked. So that means that I earn, as a real estate professional, $40 an hour. Is everybody tracking with me? So as we think about shifting and adding working with leverage in the shift, it's about getting more out of the businesses that we're running and focusing on the right thing. What's the right, I need somebody to answer this question, and I'll deal with the silence. What is the right thing to focus on? If you do nothing else during a shifting market, what's the thing that you need to be doing? Anybody want to chime in and answer?
Lead generation.
Here we go. Thank you, Mercedes. You're just music to my ears. We all know that there's a million things. Good job, Jillian. You get bonus points as well. The rest of you were wrong. No, yeah, lead generation. That's always the most dollar productive activity. And so for you, as you're evaluating, and as I asked Stephanie the question about what did you leverage out, she didn't leverage out. She didn't, oh, I sent my assistant to do listing appointments for me, or I sent her to do buyer consults for me, or to do those initial showings, because that's where the money is. She had her do things that have to happen in order for our business to work, but that you don't need to pay $40 an hour in order to do. I think that's a helpful rubric as you think about what are the things that I can leverage out, what are the tasks that are most important. If I can pay somebody $15 an hour to do something, and I make $40 an hour, I should consider it. Doesn't mean I have to, but I should consider it. All right, Stephanie, back to you. Tell me about that relationship. We don't know, no need to name names or anything like that, but what was good that you would do again and that you're proud of, and what would you do differently? What was hard? What lessons were learned in that first kind of leveraged relationship?
Yeah, so I think it's just important to always, no matter what stage that your business is in, just always take time each week to be taking a step back and evaluating exactly that. What's working, what's not, what can we make better, what opportunities do we have? And so it actually, for me, it worked really great for quite a while. And then I realized that I need licensing help too. Like, I need help for somebody who's licensed, because at that point I wasn't able to leave, right? So if you're running, $12 million a year in an area where the average price is 100,000, I mean, and it's went up since then, but I mean, at that time that was pretty average. 120, was pretty average. So it was really hard for me to get to leave, even for like, a long weekend or something. It was very difficult. And I know so many people get into real estate for, the flexibility of the schedule. And I really started to identify with that joke. And there's a meme going around, but you get to pick any hours of the week that you want to work in real estate, any 80 hours of the week, and so I love my clients, and I genuinely love the work. And so it's really easy to just find yourself working way too much. And so luckily, the gal that I hired, she got her license. And so we kind of evolved her role, and she got her license. And so then all of a sudden we were able to add in showing help and go to the home inspection help, and all these other things that allowed me to dedicate more time to my clients, and also have some time off with my family as well. But that it all goes back to that 5-star service that the clients were getting, now even better service, because I might be busy, but this other person can go help with showings, and that sort of thing. And that worked really well until COVID. And then kind of everything, I think everybody had to reassess. And so I just learned that there wasn't necessarily anything bad with it, but it had to evolve over time. This was like a three to 4 year time frame that we're talking about. And so I guess that's my biggest piece of advice is start with what you need now, but don't think that you just set it and that's how it's going to be forever. As your business grows, as your things change in your personal life, your business needs to evolve with it. And so I would just recommend everybody, take that time weekly to sit back and think, what's working for me, what's not, how can I get better, and what can I leverage?
So I want to zoom in. The agent that grows the sort of business that eventually needs help, as you did, and as many on this call are in that place or nearing that place, part of what got them there is they were excellent. They provided, A-level service. They're highly responsive. They've got utmost integrity, like all of these wonderful things. You can't just like imbue that upon somebody else when you bring them in. And so one of the sticking points for people when they're at on the cusp of adding people leverage to their world is, yeah, but they can't do it like me, but my clients like me. I know that you provide excellent service for your clients, and I know we've got agents on that call who are in that place and that struggle, and how do I get people to care as much as I do? How did you solve that, or how are you solving that within your business?
Yeah. So I think it's important to say there truly is no one size fits all in real estate. And that's what makes it great, right? I think that there are solutions where sometimes someone doesn't want to give anything up, and then I think there are other things that they can do in that case. For me, and I want to kind of skip to now back to the present.
Sure.
What we have evolved to is a team that offers support to not only, myself, but what's really cool now is because I identified that there is so much in real estate that you can leverage in order to give your clients the 5-star experience, but also to just give yourself some time, some time off, a break, and come back refreshed and better than ever. And so what we do now is the way that I've set up my team, every agent on my team, whether they are came in as a brand new agent or whether it's somebody experienced, they get the leverage that took me 10, 11 years to build. So I'm going to do a couple of shout outs now, but we have an incredible, 2 incredible admins, Holly and Julie, and they basically help make everything so much easier for all of the licensed agents on the team. And it's been really incredible to watch several of the agents, specifically Jessica, Chris, and Rachel, come into real estate. Chris and Jessica last year, and then Rachel the year before that, and come in and be able to, instead of doing that normal struggle for, the first couple years that everybody does, we were able to plug them into the leverage. And now they're all multi-million. They get the top producer list. And it's just really neat to see because we're offering that leverage through our incredible admins that we have, and then also the marketing that I do. And so, but that is not a one size fits all for everyone. So I think it's important to say there's so many different ways that you can create leverage in your real estate business.
So I was actually having a call with another agent earlier today that someone can be the best person ever and you just jive with them, but if it's not in writing, you're setting yourself up for missed expectations. So what does it look like? And I'd love for you to get as specific and practical as it makes sense to be here, to specifically equip people to carry forward, your vision and the experience that you want your clients to have. Are there job guides? Are you putting them on a 30, 60, 90? Is there what does that look like practically, system wise?
Yeah, absolutely. So when we came to Keller Williams, it was actually just Eric Holly and I, when we came to Keller Williams. And it took us quite a while to build out, actually 6 months to build out what our realtor partner values and benefits were, because it is hard. Exactly what you spoke to before. It is hard to take kind of your brand and, you know, your way that you do things and how close it is to your heart, right? Your clients and their satisfaction. It's so important. And so we built that out over 6 months. And then we were very intentional with who joined our team, that it was a culture fit, that it was a values fit, and also that it was just you know, a hustle fit, you know, for lack of a better word. And so we then, after going through the realtor partner and all of our values and our minimum standards, then we are a very, I say we're small, not, I mean, we're, you know, at the top of the MLS, but we're small people wise, we're small but mighty. We're a very close team. We have a group text that we are constantly on. We're helping each other, cheering for each other. And that really helps, I think, to bind us together in terms of experience too. So we talk on my team a lot about the web team experience, because it's our goal that no matter if someone works with me or with any of the team members, that they get that same 5-star experience. And so we talk about that and train on that a lot.
Yep. No, that's great. And it's fun to see that in action. And as that's iterated over the last couple of years that I've had a window on. But yeah, if you're that agent who's I have a special thing with my people, and how do I pass that on? Practical tip is start documenting what you do. To take the web team experience and put language to that, to put metrics to that. We want to, you know, make sure that our clients are hearing from us in this way, that we're presenting in this way, and moving it from a feeling that you have. Because if it's a feeling, or if it's just a way that you're entrepreneurial and you carry yourself, but it's not, it doesn't, you can't create accountability around it, then that just creates kind of angst and misalignment of expectations. One note, looping back, so you went and you hired a full-time assistant when you were at that point. And I would say your business justified that from a volume standpoint. If you're an agent on the call today who's not there, you're not at 6 million, but you're at 3.5 million and you're feeling busy, there are paths in between. And so I just want to spend a minute talking about, you know, you don't have to go from 0 to full-time assistant. There are virtual assistant services out there. Cyberbacker is one that we have a relationship with, but there's others out there as well. And these are people who aren't, again, they're not showing houses and meeting with your clients, but they're doing back-end work. They're keeping your database straight. They can do unlicensed transactional support. They can keep your calendar straight. They can do seek client reviews as follow-ups to what you're doing at $8 an hour, you know, because they're almost always based overseas, at least with this company. And so, for $800 or $1,000 a month, I can have someone who's full-time dedicated to kind of providing back of house support or doing ISA work. Like, so you can hire a service as an option. You can hire, there are transaction coordination services that I know people connect with. Hey, I pay someone a couple $100 in order to run these for me. And they're part of my team. So as you hire services and as you're presenting yourself to clients, hey, this person, they're a service, but for your purposes, Mr. and Mrs. Client, they're part of my team. They're part of your, you know, your web team experience, for example. But then also, if you want someone who's local that you can get coffee with and have real conversations with, you can start someone part-time. A lot of the agents that are in that kind of 30 to 40 unit range that are feeling the pinch, what does it look like to bring on an operations assistant for 10 to 20 to 30 hours a week in order to provide some of that support? You're going to pay more dollars per hour for that, typically in the, you know, the 13 to 16 range, but sometimes that's worth it to have that more personal connection. So I just want to note that if you hear Stephanie say, yeah, I hired a full-time assistant, good for her, but I'm not there. There are kind of steps to there.
Yeah, that's absolutely. So I want to jump in with that. So, and that's, see what I mean when I say it's not a one size fits all. It really isn't. My very first person I hired, if I go back and I saw the job description, it came up as like a time hop on Facebook. But it was literally like, I don't know how many hours I can give you. It's very part-time, but I wanted somebody that is okay with that. I mean, I remember it could have been 5 hours, you know, because I just didn't know, but I knew that I needed to take that first step. And so that's my advice to anybody on the call is just write down your pain points, write down what you need to take your business to the next level, or maybe it's improve your client experience, right? Like it's not always about numbers. Maybe it's just, hey, I feel like I'm so busy that I'm not getting back to people as fast as I want to. Because that was one of my things. Is way back when, again, go back, 2014, 2015, I felt like I was getting so busy that maybe I wasn't responding as quick to people. And that's one of my pillars is I get back to people really fast. And so it could be not necessarily numbers related, but maybe service related as well. So just write down what what you would be okay outsourcing, because there's things that you won't be. I mean, there's still things I still don't have a transaction coordinator because I want to keep that process. But somebody else, that might be the first thing that they do is get a transaction coordinator. So I think it's important to just know your business and take time to reflect on it and sit back and think, okay, what do I need help with? And then where can I go to get that help?
Yeah. Well, and I think the question, because to your point, it's not a one size fits all. It's what am I good at? What do I enjoy? And those two things are usually related. If we're creating here, let's imagine a Venn diagram with 3 circles. What I'm good at, what I enjoy, and what helps generate the most money for the business. You should live between those 3 circles as much as possible. And if you don't like it, sometimes you need to, roll up your sleeves and do the thing. Lead generation is something that we all have to do. We're all in the lead gen business. But the other things like Stephanie, she likes the transactional coordination part. I think she's crazy, but she's opting to keep that. And that's a choice that she's made because it fits with her gift mix. So it's not a one size fits all, but you do need to think enjoyment, proficiency, which that grows over time as you get better skills, and dollar productive activity. Let's fast forward, Stephanie, because I think one of the things that I love about your leverage story, so to speak, is that it's powered by your why. You said earlier, hey, I like to travel. I want to be present for my kids' games, present for homeschooling and being able to juggle all of the things. Tell us about what you just did and how it relates to leverage.
Well, this is where I absolutely have got to give a shout out to every single member of the web team. I can't see who all's on here. I know some of them have joined, but honestly, without my team, both our administrative team, Julie and Holly, but then all of the agents on the team, every single one of them, it would not have been possible without them. So, we felt really led since we've been homeschooling since COVID. One of our big things was that we wanted to take the kids on a national park trip out west. And, I don't know how many people have been to places like Yellowstone or Glacier or just all across the West. But a lot of areas do not have cell phone reception. And I mean, like you can drive for hours and there is no cell phone reception. And so I knew this going into it, that it was time to take a big leap of faith. And so what we did was for the month that we were gone, it was 26 days, the team completely took over. And so it was where I knew that I had moved from just Stephanie Webb, individual real estate agent, to a true web team. We are a team and we are a business. And so Julie especially took over in terms of a lot of the transaction coordination process and all of my personal clients. And then what was really awesome And what happened with my team is that their business like got turbocharged while I was gone, because I counted up, I think it was like 10 listings we took that the team then took while I was gone. And so the joke is, when I came back, they said, no, stay gone longer. Like we're getting all this business. And so I actually just, again, it's not about numbers, but I just pulled our numbers. Holly just did my projections for me, and we have the same amount in contract right now that we've been running. And that was really cool, coming off of, us being completely, pretty inaccessible. I mean, I checked in some, but the team really had it. And so that was just a really incredible experience to be able to do for my kids and my family. But then also for my clients to get all of this incredible service through the team. Nothing missed a beat, everything closed, and then we got new listings as well. So it really, for me, it is much less about Stephanie Webb, individual agent, and more about the Webb team and all the incredible agents and support staff that come together to make that happen.
Well, and I love that, because, we've all seen the realtor selfie from the beach while working, like, hey, I love this. I get to work from the beach, and that's okay. Like, that's fine. You're welcome to do that. But that's kind of vacation-ish. And if you want to really be off and really be present, it doesn't require just unplugging. It requires being more intentional in a business that enables you to unplug from it. And that's what you guys have built, which I think is really, really admirable. I want to look back.
The other thing, Mark, that I just want to add into is, for anyone that is struggling with that, almost like that pride of, no, like nobody can do it the way I can. And, kind of that fear of, you want to take it to the next level. It's hard to leave. I mean, I was there. I have been there. And what I really realized through our trip that month was that, when I'm at the bottom of a canyon in Utah, hiking Zion National Park, there's no cell phone service, and there's no cell phone service for like 8 hours. We literally were in a canyon hiking through the water. It was so much fun, but there's no cell phone service. And so what struck me with that is that my clients were still getting incredible service from, Julie, who was there at the desk waiting for their call. And, nothing wrong with realtors going on vacation and, taking their work with them. But, it really struck me that wouldn't have been the best service for my clients. If I didn't have those processes set up and I went on vacation, like everyone should be able to do, take that time with their family and disconnect. And I went on that vacation and someone couldn't reach me for, 10 hours. That's not good service. And so that is my advice to anybody struggling to kind of move. You want to get to that next level, but you're nervous. Just maybe think about it like that in your head a little bit of, leverage really can take your business to the next level, not only in terms of sales, but more importantly, client service, right? Giving clients 5-star service, because we all have personal lives. You might not be in Utah at the bottom of a canyon hiking, but we all have times when we're not available. Or at least we shouldn't, we shouldn't be available. And so just kind of thinking about it like that in my head really, really helped me kind of overcome that fear of, but what if somebody doesn't do it exactly like I do?
Right. Well, and you said something briefly earlier, you slid past it. You're running a business. And most agents will say, yeah, I'm a small business owner, which according to the IRS is true, but the way that you're running it that's not at all true. The difference between being self-employed, channeling some Robert Kiyosaki here, being self-employed means when I do it, I get paid. Running a business means I have tools, systems, people, and I might be highly involved or I might be less involved. Like that can be variable, but the business is running, the work is happening, and income is flowing in, whether I'm, pushing at everything or not. But I think for anyone on this call to ask the question, do I want to run a business? And the answer can be no. Hey, I want to just be the person, and I'm going to take the highs and the lows that come with that. I'm going to take the calls from the beach, and I'm fine with that. But if you want to grow beyond the 40 to maybe 60. I know there's some agents on here that are solo that may do 60 solo, but grow beyond that from a volume standpoint to provide the level of care and to be able to have the lifestyle from a flexibility standpoint. It requires thinking like a business owner and not just a self-employed hustler.
And it doesn't mean that you have to start a team either. I was thinking, I want to be really clear on that. You know, my the agents on our team at the web team, they all have leverage, and leverage can be as simple as, like, I think of, you know, this happens all the time on our group text that we have. Someone can't make a showing, right? Someone on my team can't make a showing because maybe a you know, practice got scheduled, or somebody's game got moved, or maybe somebody got sick, right? And so leverage can also be as simple as, you know, for our team, it's easy because somebody just sends that out and then somebody else pops in. I've got you covered. You know, let me take this. So obviously for my team, we see that happen all the time. But if you're not on a team and you're an individual agent, it could be as simple as partnering with another agent that you get along with well and saying, hey, you know, like, do you want to cover for each other? Do you want to, when you're on vacation, I could take your clients, and, you know, when I'm on vacation, you know, and vice versa, or if I get sick. And it could be as simple as just finding an agent to help each other out, because there's always times when people get sick or, you know, have different things going on. So in my team, we feel really blessed because we have that kind of built into our ecosystem, and everyone on my team is so quick. I mean, they are so quick to jump in and say, I've got it, right? So maybe just find something like that for yourself. And again, you don't have to start a team or even be on a team. Just find another solo agent who might want to, you know, and it's, especially if you're at Keller Williams, people always seem really, really helpful, you know.
It's a great point to make. I think we want to be careful of thinking, oh, it's only for those leading the teams. It's like, no, it's anyone who's thinking about not wanting to do everything in their business all the time. On that note, just a couple little practical things, and then I'd love to open the floor for folks who have questions of Stephanie. Think about who you can get leverage from. Yes, there are hires. Yes, there are systems to put in place. Technology. So, okay, I generate leads by kind of posting things on social media and answering my phone. That's no way to live. So having a system there and having technology like a CRM that's going to do some of the work for you, but also take some of the guesswork out of it, that's leverage. So intentionality around that. We're going to talk more about that next week with lead gen. But also think about your allied partners, lending, from a referral standpoint, from what are the parts of the process that they can make easier for you? Title, I know Sam LaFew from Stonegate Title's on here today. They can do some pretty cool things to help you do mailers, get data that you may not have easy access to. So explore who are you already in business with, both sure from a referral opportunity standpoint, but also are there elements of your client's experience that they can lean into, so that you're able to do more with less. What questions do you all have, particularly for Stephanie? Yeah, unmute or drop something in the chat. I'd love to hear a couple of questions. I can't put someone on the spot to ask a question. That's a.
You can put
Well,
me on
I'm
the
really.
spot, Mark.
This
That's
is
fine.
All right, who was that there?
No, I
Kim.
think someone started in right before me, so go ahead.
Antonio, you go.
That's okay.
Okay, no, I was just saying no questions, but I think just overall comment. I think today's class, I think a lot of things I heard today were kind of hitting close to myself and my personal business where I'm at. You know, I've grown since last year, but I'm also thinking ahead. I want to go even more. And how do I do that? I recently had a buyer's agent I hired in March who was still kind of doing part-time. And so that's part of my struggle is like, how can I convince him to come on full-time and show him there's a different way? Because I was also in his seat and, you know, pegging back off last class, it's, you know, where is a smarter way to spend the money? And recently I've been changing the words I'm saying. It's I'm not spending the money, I'm investing the money. Where can I invest the money? Because that was my biggest mind shift from going for a solo agent. When I started the team, it was, I'm not spending the money, I'm investing into this team, I'm investing into ourselves. And like you said, you're running a business, you got to think that way. If they're operating expenses, there's going to be all kinds of things. There's just so many things. And like I said, I've kind of heard probably 4 or 5 topics today that specifically things that I'm currently going through or thinking about. So again, no question, just kind of overall comment. This was a great one today, I'd say.
That's great. I appreciate that. And that is thinking like a business owner, viewing the money that comes into the business as the business's money, and how am I investing it and how am I paying? When you've got
Right.
it, when you have an "it's just me" mindset, it's easy to feel like, oh, I don't want to spend money that I don't have to. And it's always good to ask questions about that. But like, no, the dollars you invest are a form of leverage as well, if you think about it. So yeah, glad to unpack some of that and appreciate that comment. Any others? Someone was beginning to talk at the same time as Antonio. Was that Kim?
Yes, it was me. Sorry, my phone's kind of going in and out here. I'm
Okay.
listening to you. I had more of a question about the team structure, and because I'm so new, this is probably an ignorant question, but is it always set up? Are all of them always set up to where, for efficiency's sake and to help with separation of buyers and sellers, agents?
You're asking, are teams always set up where there's buyers agents and then there's listing agents?
Correct.
No.
Right, sorry, listing agents. Yeah.
Most teams have some sort of like, hey, you're predominantly one of these, but you can list, or vice versa. There's a range of kind of strictness depending on the team, and there's good reasons in both directions. A lot of it depends on the team. Stephanie, I don't know if you want to talk about how you think about that with your team.
Absolutely. So I think naturally, like how the team starts is that, at least for me, I'm very heavy on the listing agent side, like 75, 80% listings. And so I just naturally had a lot of buyer leads. And so we give a lot of buyer leads out on the team. But with my team, I do it a little bit differently than some of the others, to where as long as my team members are trained in it and they want to take listings too, I heavily encourage it, because I know that listings are a way to long-term success in real estate. And so I give out listing leads as well as, buyer leads. And there definitely just is, I think, more things that you have to take into consideration when you have a team that's listing. And so we definitely had to make sure that our back end support was there and our marketing was there, because again, we want it to be the same whether it is co-listed with myself and one of the agents on my team, or if it's just with myself. And one of the really great things, like I said, is while I was gone on my travels, I passed on, and Julie would know these exact numbers, but I think it was 9 or 10 listings that the team took. So instead of me waiting to take them when I got home, I passed those right back out to the team. And so they all, had a great month, but they all do buyers and sellers both. So I hope that helps answer your question.
Hey, this
Yes.
is Rachel. Can I chime in too?
Go ahead, Rachel.
Yeah, so I'm on the web team, and I came to Stephanie with 1 year under my belt as a solo agent. So I had experience listing and, working with buyers. And I think, one thing as you think about your trajectory in real estate, if you get on a team, definitely that's a question you want to ask. For me, like when I first met with Stephanie, I really made sure, like, hey, I still want to list too. I still have a very big sphere of influence. So my family and friends also want to work with me. So I still need to leverage my business with my family and be able, my family and friends still be able to list. So that was another really nice thing about the team. Now, if you were a newer agent and you maybe were a little bit nervous about listings and you just wanted to just bite off a small piece and getting your feet wet in real estate, then, maybe joining a team where it's just like, hey, we have roles, you're a buyer's agent, find what works for you and where you are in the process of, your development as a realtor.
It's a great word, Rachel. We're 101, and I want to respect everyone's time. Just a couple quick actionables, parting thoughts. One is you're going to mess up. So what if I hire someone that's not perfect? What if my system isn't perfect? Spoiler alert, both of those things are going to happen. And so to make peace with that, and we fail forward. Oh, okay, that's not perfect, but it's good. And we're always iterating. If you don't have systems in place, that's the first thing to do this week. Hey, how do I approach my buyer consult? After I close a transaction, how do I relate to that lead? And just begin to document what you're already doing, because you probably have more kind of unconscious system and leverage than you realize, because that's the pre-work that will enable you to invite people into your world in a way that will add leverage. So that's an actionable. If you're in a place of, okay, where do I go next? Is start taking notes on how you do the things that you do. And it's, making lists. So what do I do in transactions? It's making lists. You're not reinventing the wheel here, because that will lay the groundwork, kind of be the DNA for you to invite people into, to improve, because the right people will make those things better over time in order to help you grow. Thank you for your time. Thank you, especially Stephanie, for your insight and for sharing your story.
Sure.
And I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your week.
Bye, everybody.